and we're going to have some very interesting conversation in this panel. We've got, in fact, I'll be very honest, Prashant. When we started speaking to you to invite you, we really thought that how would travel come into e-commerce?
Travel is e-commerce.
Absolutely. And we realized that today, in the wallet share of a customer, and I'm telling you, this data surprised me when we started looking at it, that today, particularly in travel, it's almost coming down to about a 13% of the wallet share a customer spends on travel. And when I say travel, I mean hotels and flights and everything that follows it. And that's a huge chunk.
That number sounds about right. The entire online travel market is about $25 billion at the moment. And overall e-commerce market is about $250 or $300 billion. So yeah, that number sounds about right.
Yeah, so about 13% odd we found, and we thought this was absolutely a must panel to have over here. And
in fact, it's actually, I'm sorry I'm cutting you in between.
No problem. Go on.
But I do see this a lot. I mean, people assume that travel is not e-commerce.
Correct.
I mean, there are e-commerce sessions and there are e-commerce reports, and travel gets ignored like, sibling who people don't want to talk about.
Which is actually should not be the case, because travel is now, and as a service, it's become so important today in the entire customer journey. And I think great that so incidentally, a lot of you would not know, but EaseMyTrip is actually a bootstrapped company. It's a bootstrapped unicorn in India. And Prashant probably, great. And they've done all the hard work in terms of building up. He just told me this, that they started this company with 15 odd lakhs.
15, yeah.
Yeah, 15 lakhs, and today it's become a unicorn and a public listed company. So if you like it, just go out and trade some shares for the company.
No recommendation from my side. I didn't say it.
Okay. So, Prashant, while you've been, EaseMyTrip has been in existence since 2012, I believe, 10.
Well, actually 2000. When do we start? Do we start when we were a travel agent ourselves, which was year 2005?
You can start from there.
Duke Travel Agency, year 2005. Then the first avatar of EaseMyTrip came about in year 2008, which was basically a software to travel agent. Then the OTA, the EaseMyTrip, which you see, which is the second largest travel portal, which you see now, started in year 2011. So there have been multiple pivots, which has led us to where we are today.
Sure. And I think from there to coming over here, we've seen a lot of new initiatives that you've taken. And particularly, I've been reading a lot of things about, what EaseMyTrip is doing in the last 1.5 year. So particularly, what is it in terms of what is the vision that you have for EaseMyTrip now that you've, comfortably settled on the financial side, you public listed. So what sort of changes or what new things or initiatives that you're looking to take at EaseMyTrip, and also sort of how you're, I've realized young entrepreneurs like you always like to break things a lot. So you keep breaking your own good performing areas to just rebuild them so that, they can perform even better in the future. So what are the new things you're doing?
So, as you have described a little bit about EaseMyTrip, we have grown bootstrap, never raised any capital to become the second largest travel portal. Clearly, in order to do that, one thing which I think nobody can take away from us is the amount of efficiency. Because, we had 8 competitors who all had raised minimum $50 million each and were always loss-making while we were always profitable. We never had a 1 quarter of loss. So one thing I think I can say it very proudly and almost in a factual fashion is that we have been highly disciplined and very high on efficiency. Now, with those tendency inbuilt in the company as a part of the culture, the next phase of growth which we see is the travel itself is a beautiful e-commerce actually, because there is no dabba which needs to be delivered, right? If someone is making a flight booking or a hotel booking, all we have to do is send them an email or a WhatsApp message along with that, right? So we have recently, in the last couple of years, realized that we don't need to be just contained within India. And we could actually become the OTA for the world. And this experiment we began about 2 years ago, starting with Middle East. and we started our business, which is easemytrip.ae over there, and now it is contributing quite substantial amount to our businesses. Now imagine the current, the current player over there in Middle East, they are basically spending in dirhams, and we are sitting in India. The entire operations, the entire technology is running out of India. So the amount of arbitrage which we have over them is phenomenally higher. And seeing the success which we have gotten from that particular, geography, we then recently launched easemytrip.uk, and very soon we'll be launching easemytrip.us, which is basically serving the population in the US to make their flight booking from there to anywhere. Flight booking, hotel booking. So this is the next big frontier which we are fighting at the moment.
Oh, wow. So basically global growth is what you're looking at.
Absolutely. And I think there are a lot of companies from India which are targeting global frontiers, and I wish them all the best. And I think many of them would do actually fairly well, because the cost arbitrage and technology enhancement in India is quite superior. But in our space specifically, I see it as almost as a no-brainer that in future, if you ask me 10 years later, where all world's tickets would be booked from, I see that is going to happen from India. I'm not saying from EaseMyTrip. It could be anybody. But 10 years, that seems like a very good equilibrium point, that all the tickets should be booked from India, because, anyways, the call centers are in India. Anyways, the technology is in India. So why can't product be from India?
Correct.
That's the only thing which is missing, right? Why can't product be from India?
So the front facing also should be
from India.
From India, right? That's a good thought. Prashant, e-commerce companies are very notoriously known for valuations and big burns, and therefore lack of profitability at many years. But you never had that luxury when you were building EaseMyTrip, right? It was a bootstrapped company. You were sort of keeping your, and you were actually fighting in a market which was heavily funded. So now, given this scenario, how have you managed to bring that sustainability in growth for EaseMyTrip? And digitally, what is it that you did differently? Because, again, putting yourself in front of the customer, making sure that, you get that eyeball, customer acquisition, all of that requires a lot of marketing budgets to be put behind it. But since you've not done it that way, you've not done the conventional way of e-commerce, so what were some of the practices that actually helped you to build a large organization?
I have a lot of hot takes around this, okay? And I'm going to disturb some folks by saying things which are not going to be standard status quo. Firstly, there is no right way to build a company. There are always multiple ways. You can surely grow your company, grow your valuation, and then basically cut down on the cost and become efficient. Or the second way is the way we did it, which is basically start from very high efficiency and just grow slowly over the period of time and become somebody. So both ways are right. I do not say one way over the other way. Whatever, if you are really good in raising capital, please go ahead. Keep raising capital, keep growing your company, and then eventually find a way to be profitable, because at the end of it, businesses are only done for two reasons. Reason one, to basically add value in your customer's life. And reason number two, to do it for long period of time. And to do it for long period of time, there's only one way, which is to do it profitably. You can never be funded for forever. You have to find a way to be profitable, which is also adding value in the customer's life. You're not disrupting your customer's life by going off the radar. Right? So there are only two reasons primarily why businesses are meant to be done. Add value and do it for a long period of time. Now, the way we chose it, it was also like we did try to raise money. We couldn't raise money because we had 8 competitors who all had raised money. So when push comes to shove, when you're basically pushed to the corner, you have to find newer ways to do things, right? You have to find different ways. We did one A/B testing, firstly, all throughout our journey from, let's say, year 2011 till 2018. We lived through the insecurity. Every day we would hear our competitors raising $50 million, $100 million. They getting talked about because, whatever people see, people only celebrate these milestones. Since we are not raising, people don't know what we are doing. Right. And hence, very little was written about EaseMyTrip. Mostly for our competitors, they were getting covered in news, magazines and other places. So there was a lot of insecurity while going through the entire phase. But in year 2017, we ran one experiment. So EaseMyTrip grew all this while because we did not charge convenience fees. Very recently, we have started charging convenience fees, but for the longest period of time, for the last 14 odd years, we have not charged convenience fees. Many of you would know about that. We picked one city, and here's one insight. We picked one city, Raipur, and since we did not have marketing budget, we thought that we are going to cover the entire Raipur with EaseMyTrip branding and say EaseMyTrip does not charge convenience fees. So the local newspapers in Raipur, the local billboards in Raipur, local TV advertisements in Raipur, and Google performance marketing, particularly targeted to people who are searching from Raipur area. Okay, I'm talking back year 2017, and telling people that EaseMyTrip is better because we don't charge convenience fees. So rest of India, no marketing, Raipur marketing, right? And clearly Raipur did grow faster for the next couple of years. And when we stopped marketing, Raipur stopped growing.
Performing.
Raipur stopped growing. So rest of India continued to grow better than Raipur. Now, these are the results. What could be the corollary behind it is all of our guesses. Okay, and I'll tell you my guess that why this happened. The results are what I just said. My best guess of seeing this kind of result was EaseMyTrip was growing naturally, organically all across India via word of mouth, where people are telling other people that hey, EaseMyTrip does not charge convenience fees. ये ABC website क्यों use कर रहा है? अपने दोस्तों को बताता है EaseMyTrip use कर. Now in Raipur, when you have put the hoardings, you have put the billboards, why would people tell others? They would assume that everybody would know, isn't it? They would assume that people know. And hence the word of mouth, we killed the word of mouth growth in that region. And my personal view with that experiment is that if you truly have something valuable for customer, it's better to let it grow under the radar. Yes, you're not going to see the VC type of growth which VCs expect, clearly. But if you truly have something which is special to you, let people spread the word, let they be your cheerleader, let they be your evangelist, rather than you go beat your own drums, because people will always assume that मैं convenience fees charge नहीं कर रहा हूँ तो कुछ और कर रहा हूँ अगर मैं ये बात बताता हूँ तो, isn't it? If you see a TV advertisement, you would assume कि यार कुछ और कर रहा होगा. But if your friend comes and tells you, he doesn't have any bias or agenda. So that's one huge learning I have from my experience. And another way I would want to encourage a lot of the way we do now of a marketing budget. I'll answer the second bit as well. I know that you will probably ask this question, how to manage marketing and the cost, right? So the way we do our marketing budget is actually very different compared to most of the companies, okay? So for all the aspiring entrepreneurs or the entrepreneurs who are already running a company where you are finding it hard to manage your CAC, right? Cost of acquisition. I'll tell you the way with which we work. So first, create a very good virtuous circle for yourself. Rather than worrying so much about marketing, create a very good virtuous circle. What's a virtuous circle for EaseMyTrip? Virtuous circle for EaseMyTrip is people come in because we don't charge convenience fees. People stay because we provide better services. We run our own call centers. All our competitors have outsourced their call center. So hence we care about service. We provide better service. Better price, better service leads to very high repeat transaction rate. My repeat transaction rate is 93%. Very high transaction rate. I'm telling you the virtuous circle. Very high repeat transaction rate allows me not to spend much money on marketing because people are coming back by themselves. Less money on marketing and very high efficient organization allows me to be profitable. And profitability allows me to not charge convenience fees. This is the circle you're growing, right? Now with this circle, we kept on growing for years and years without making any money, barely breaking even. But as economies of scale starts hitting in, you will start seeing some money being left over in the format of profit. Now utilize that money into marketing. So aim to be sustainable and then whatever is left over, put it in the marketing. rather than finding कि मेरा क्या कितना है, मुझे इसी में ही करना है, profitability बाद में देख लेंगे. So this is pretty much how we grew. Our marketing budget kept on growing because we kept on making more and more profit over the period of time. But for the first 6-7 years, we didn't have any marketing budget because this virtuous cycle could not be broken. Virtuous cycle would break, right? Imagine if I'm not profitable because I spend money on marketing. If I'm not profitable, I will have to charge convenience fees. Isn't it? So fix your virtuous circle, find your virtuous circle, fix your virtuous circle, and let that virtuous circle do the talking, save you some money, and that utilize that money into marketing.
So, now since we are on this conversation, so are you also sort of adopting some AI technologies to automate all of this? So since you said that 93% anyway comes out of an existing customer pool that is already there. So are you sort of putting some AI or automation into it just to be able to, constantly keep on reaching out to
See, automation is heart of any technology company. And if I am saying I am one of the most efficient OTAs in India, I must be automating a lot of things. Not necessarily using AI. AI is very loosely thrown down. I can say that I'm using AI, but no. What is AI? AI is basically you have a very intelligent, if you have created a very nice LLM, which basically understands your customer base, and on the basis of that, it takes decisions. So, I mean, we are in the process of figuring out one. At this moment, what we are doing is we are scraping tons and tons of data of the internet, particularly for holiday space. I don't think so there is much AI which is required in ticket booking at the moment, but holiday is where I think there is a lot of personalization. There are at least 100 touch points when you are trying to book a holiday, the entire package. So that is where I think that AI can play a very huge and instrumental role. And we are basically right now scraping the data of the internet to feed into that LLM and then hope whether the results come out favorable or not. That's my take.
Right. So I also see that at EaseMyTrip you are building in what we call an omni-channel platform. So you have some 15, as you said, stores, franchise stores of EaseMyTrip. So and you're a service company, you're not a product company. So why was the need to go to a store model or a physical presence? That is one. And secondly, what has it achieved for you? I mean, what has it done for you that helps the business?
So, 1 second, guys.
Should I help?
So, this is correct that we went omni-channel very recently. Only about 2 years ago, we started opening up our franchisee stores. And that is also one place where I would like to talk about. See, we did try opening some franchisees in year 2010-11. I did mention to you in year 2010-11, we did try to open some franchisees and clearly none of them worked out at that time. And now our franchisees are working wonderfully. We have 15 franchisees. Franchisees are required primarily for holiday as a product. As I said, holiday is a service, ticket booking is a commodity. Why would you go to our store to book a flight ticket or a hotel? It's just going to be same experience, right? I mean, it's going to be worse experience. It's better to just see online and just book it yourself, right? You're going to save so much time. The world is moving towards efficiency. If it's efficient, it's a good solution. If it's not efficient, it's not a good solution. While making a holiday booking, rather than talking to an agent for hours and making him understand what you do, it's better that you go, and especially in rural parts of India, you go and you talk to an agent and he'll basically customize a package for you. So the reason why I think our franchisees in year 2010-11 did not work versus they're working now, and especially given that in year 2010-11, there was still a requirement for someone to go to book a flight ticket. Now there is no such requirement. And even then, so franchisees TAM, total addressable market, was bigger back in 2010 than it is now. And yet franchisees are working better now because EaseMyTrip is a brand now.
Correct.
It's a brand. So, if you are trying to open retail stores hoping that you will become a brand because of retail stores, I think it's probably a wrong strategy. If you think that you'll go omni-channel and because of going omni-channel, you'll bring a brand, you'll become a brand, your valuations will go high, I think it's going to fall flat. That's how I think this model. And this is how I think many people misconstrued omni-channel as that, hey, if I'm available on website, if I'm available on stores, if I'm available at the airport, the brand will become bigger. It doesn't work that way. You have to prove your brand first and then think about where all people can easily find you, because there's a need. They want to find you. See, I'll actually like to say this with one thing which is particularly coming from Vida, right? Showing is not always seeing. Krishna Bhagwan, he showed his Virat avatar to Kauravas before the fight, right? He showed his Bhavya avatar to entire Kauravas when he came as a messenger and they were trying to capture him. He showed his avatar, his Bhavya avatar to entire Kauravas, and they dismissed it. They said, trick hoga koi, right? The fight could have ended there only. That bhai unke paas Bhagwan hai. Kyun lad rahe hain unse? But it didn't. Fight continued. They continued to fight. So showing does not mean seeing. Just because you are available everywhere does not mean that people are seeing you.
Right. I think that's a good point. And from whatever experience I have at Franchise India for franchising is that the model has to be robust. It doesn't matter when you start franchising, but your model has to be extremely robust so that your partner, your franchisee is able to make money. And that's the only reason why he'll continue to be with you for a longer number of years. Coming to what you also said about your omni-channel growth. So in the last 15 years, you've also sort of built a company bootstrapped, and now you've gone the IPO way. So 3 years back, you did an IPO, and I mean, the bourses are like, blowing away everybody. I mean, the kind of markets that we are seeing, we've never seen those kind of market growth in India happening. So how has that changed your organization for the good? You have shareholders today, you have a good presence on the bourses today. So, I mean, running a company without going public to now running a company going public, what has changed in the organization?
The basic DNA does not change. The tendency of the company to be very frugal, to be very efficient. I don't think so. We would want to change any of that. One thing which particularly has surprised me after going listed, which we were not expecting, was the word of mouth growth has gone crazy now. You can even see, go to trends.google.com and write Ease My Trip versus all my competitors' name which you know of, and you will see that post 21st March 2021, we have been catching up very, very fairly quickly. And the bigger reason which I would attribute to that is we went from having 3 shareholders, which is 3 of us, we are 3 brothers, to 8 lakh shareholders. We have 8 lakh people who own Ease My Trip shares now across India. And I think that they are very generous and in telling their friends and family that try Ease My Trip, their profits are growing better, they are providing better services and stuff like that. So I believe that it's a wonderful journey right now, and we look up to our shareholders and we want to do good to them and continue to expand our company even internationally.
I think that's really the thought. Happy to take a few questions. I know we're running quite late, but happy to take a couple of questions in case there are any at this point of time. Yes, ma'am. We'll just pass on the mic to you. Can we please pass on the mic to her?
Yes.
It's too bright. I can't see you.
Can we down
Hello.
the lights, please?
Hi.
Yeah.
Better.
I'm Payal. Hi, Prashant. So my question is, basically you chose your city as Raipur for your alpha and beta testing, right? So for any startup or for any company who is into product-based service or product-based this thing, so for them, what should be the criteria to choose this kind of a city, or just want to have your thought of?
It wasn't very well thought out which city we should pick. We could have picked any city, but we wanted to pick a city which was slightly lesser of impact. We would not have picked Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai as one of those, cities where we would want to experiment. We wanted to pick a city where there is a decent amount of volume of people flying, but not so much that it would impact a lot in the business. And especially, we didn't want to do only A/B testing, which was the online A/B testing, right? Where you show Google advertisement versus not. We wanted to go full all out and see that what our competitors are doing all across India. If we do that for one particular city, and that much money we can afford, whatever they're doing for all across India and more, if I do that for one particular city, am I missing out on anything? That is what we wanted to learn. Am I missing out by not raising money and not pumping money? And the answer was clearly we're not missing out. For the first 2 years, it felt like we were missing out. But once the experiment was over, slowly over the period of time, we realized that no, we are not missing out. In fact, this is better. It's better to be a low-key. So I don't think so. With my experience, you will be able to find the answer for what you're looking for. We just picked one small city, which was still decent volume for us.
Sure. Please go on.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for fantastic session. You said you 2 years back you have opened the brick and mortar stores to franchisee route. So after this, what is the difference in the business model between you and other players like say Thomas Cook or anyone else who is operating through brick and mortar route? Is there any business model difference remains or you become more like them? So regarding the holidays packages are concerned.
So, firstly, 95% of our business, even till today, is all application based. It's either through mobile application or our website. So comparing us with Thomas Cook would be slightly different. Maybe you can say that we are entering into their territory. They have hundreds of stores and we have opened 15 franchisees. Maybe that's the question. And I accept that question. That is the right question to ask. We believe that we have already created enough brand and credibility out there. We have 3 crore people all across India who have used Ease My Trip. And hence our brand and our trustworthiness attracts them. And that is why these people are going to our franchisee stores, particularly located in tier 2 and tier 3 towns. We do not see the need of creating franchises in the metro cities. We are more interested in going in rural parts where people are still searching to send their parents to Italy where they can get Jain food. So I'm just being very specific. Those are the kinds of people whom we are targeting, where, there is an apprehension of how do I go, how do I buy this online? Where do I buy this service online where, this kind of food will be available in this particular city for my parents. My parents, I would want to send my parents to Kedarnath for that matter. And how do I find that there will be a caretaker who can go along with them? Can there be a group where 10 of them are going and find the right company from that particular city, let's say from Amritsar, not just from all across India, but from Amritsar, and hence when they go and they come back, they still continue to bond together.
We'll take last question, please, in interest of the time.
Yeah. So Prashant, I would like to ask, so you have started it a few years back, the Ease My Trip, right? So somebody...
15 years, 15, yeah, not
15
few.
years, yeah, 15 years back.
1.5 decade, man.
Yeah. So if somebody is starting up the same thing now, so what would be your advice for them? Like, even though you have done all those, but it is at that point of time, 15 years back, and then you have grown. So if somebody is starting now, what would
I am starting now again in, let's say, Dubai, Middle East, right?
It's not India?
Ease My Trip is actually starting now all over again in Middle East, in Europe and US, where we are not a big franchisee.
Yeah.
And I can give you some anecdotes of how we are starting over there. Yeah. In fact, it's not just a hypothetical question, it's actually what is happening with us at the moment.
Okay.
So I'll talk a little bit about the Dubai experience first. Okay, so in our mind, we are like, okay, yeah, we are very high efficient organization. We are going to launch easemytrip.ae, and people of Middle East are going to lap on it because everybody else is charging 20 dirhams as convenience fees. We will not charge convenience fees, and people are going to lap on our product, and we are going to be like maze. Right? Back in year 2021, still we are that naive, right? I'm being very vulnerable to tell you कि अभी भी इतने naive हैं हम. We thought कि हो जाएगा, business बन जाएगा. We launched in October 2021. First 2 months, zero business. easemytrip.ae, कोई business नहीं आया. as frugal we are, we don't want to spend money. We want to see how organically it grows. Then we thought, another big idea, then we thought we were going to launch easemartrip.ae on meta searches, which is Skyscanner, Kayaks. वहाँ पे लोग देखेंगे, वहाँ पे लोगों को लगेगा easemartrip better है, tickets book होनी शुरू हो जाएंगी. Zero booking, hardly any booking, because in all these meta searches, you see the listed price. The convenience fees or service fees comes at the last. So easemartrip.ae was listed among 6 other meta searches who had much better brand name and all those things. So hence people did not click on those meta searches as well. 2 महीने और खराब हो गए, no business came in. Then we did something, even in Middle East, we have not spent any money till today. And I think we are doing business of about 50 crore a month right now in the matter of last 1.5 years. So the thing which worked for us was through some context, we managed to find the chairman of the leading bank in Middle East. Okay. And to the chairman of this leading bank of Middle East, which holds 25% market share, all the banking and all the credit cards and debit cards in the Middle East, without naming them because I don't have the authority to name them. We found the chairman, and I met the chairman, sir, and I told them, sir, this is easemartrip.ae, and this is your ABC website, this is your XYZ website. Please compare the prices 100 times, and 100 times you will find us cheaper, because we are not charging service fees, which like everybody else is charging. So he put his people on the job, and they did verify what we were saying because it was true. Now, his question after that was, so what? मैं क्या करूं, right? तुम कर रहे हो, good luck. So, and we utilize one concept, which is basically, so there are 2 extremes viewpoints. One is being too accessible, and one is being too exclusive. And trust me, whenever you play with extremes, you will find value. Most of the time, we are right in the middle. We are bit accessible and bit exclusive, and hence we do not find value. I will give you examples on both the sides, but I'll tell you how we use concept of exclusivity over here beautifully. So to the chairman, sir, I was almost about to say his name. To the chairman, sir, I told him, sir, my offering to you is, this is the so what, my offering to you is, for the next 3 months, only and only your bank credit cards and debit cards would be valid to be used on easemartrip.ae. All I need you is to send emails and messages to your customer base. And he had 5 million customers, banks over there. That's all I need from you. Just tell people that because of their bank's card, they will be saving tons of money on service fees. That's all I need. And for the next 3 months, nobody else, no other bank's card will work on my website. Is that a deal? And we shook hands. And my company is public. You can see the numbers. First 3 months, we grew very slowly because there was an exclusivity locking, right? Not many people were able to use it. But then the 4th month, 5th month, business kept on growing almost 2x because word started spreading. The people who were using those cards, they were flexing to their friends that because of my card, I go to easemartrip.ae and I'm able to get better prices. So this is one example of exclusivity. How you can be exclusive for someone. See, for us, we had nothing to lose, right? It's a new market for me. If I give, anyways, 4 महीने बर्बाद कर चुके थे 3 महीने किसी को exclusivity देके देख लेते क्या होता है. And it worked out wonderfully for us. And this is kind of our playbook, which we are using in the other market at the moment.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I think we can probably continue this chat for another 30 minutes with the ideas that you have with you, but I'll have to close it. But thank you so much, Prashant, for coming and sharing your, great wisdom out here. Because as I said, we've never really called a speaker from the travel domain, so it was actually an eye-opener for us also how you sort of do the entire digital marketing and building a great business. So many more milestones to you and all the very best.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.